East of the swamplands in Jonglei State, South Sudan, sits a massive piece of German-built machinery. Locals call it Lucy. It is a bucket wheel excavator, and it sits half buried in a ditch that was supposed to become a 360-kilometer canal. The goal was to reroute the White Nile, drain Africa's largest freshwater wetland, and export billions of cubic meters of water north to the agricultural fields of Egypt and Sudan. Welcome to the Learn and Invest series. I'm your host, and today we are looking at one of Africa's most consequential infrastructure failures. The intellectual origins of this rusted ditch date back to a 1907 colonial survey by Sir William Garston. Garston observed the massive Sudd wetland and labeled it an evaporative sink. To colonial planners, the water that spread across this floodplain was lost water because it evaporated before it could be piped downstream for commercial agriculture. That single classification, wetland as waste, became the ruling logic for the Jonglei Canal. This photograph shows the Sudd from above. Modern satellite data and hydrology reach a different conclusion than the 1907 survey. The Sudd wetland does not lose water. It naturally stores it. It purifies the system and regulates its seasonal release. Economically, the Nile Basin Initiative estimates the Sudd generates $3.3 billion annually in ecological services, primarily through flood regulation, nutrient retention, and biodiversity. By 1984, the excavation was halted entirely. The project collapsed, but the concrete and steel did not fail. The engineering was functional. The collapse was ethical, political, and distributional. The original canal extracted value from South Sudan's Sudd wetland without the consent, participation, or equitable benefit of the communities who actually lived there. When a planning committee assigns a value of 0 to an ecosystem that produces $3 billion in local economic life, the project is built on an unstable foundation. History shows that infrastructure projects which externalize their costs onto local populations rarely survive the resulting social and political friction. This photograph captures early downstream irrigation techniques along the Nile. The legal architecture to expand this capacity crystallized in the 1959 agreement for the full utilization of the Nile waters. The Republic of Sudan and the United Arab Republic signed a treaty dividing the lost water of the Sudd equally between themselves. The southern Sudanese communities living on the land where the water actually sat were not included in the negotiations. Their wetland was allocated by a treaty they never signed. This produced two compounding errors in the system. First, the analytical error of treating a highly complex water storage ecosystem as a useless swamp. Second, the political error of suppressing local consent. The central authorities relied on executive mandates to push the project forward, ignoring the people whose daily survival depended on the floodplain. These combined to create a severe distributional error. In large-scale transboundary megaprojects, asymmetric risk occurs when the economic rewards pool in one geographic location, while the ecological and social damages are concentrated in another. Egypt gained up to 4.8 cubic kilometers of additional Nile water annually. Sudan gained expanded irrigation capacity. The risks, wetland drainage, loss of fisheries, severe groundwater decline, and forced displacement, fell entirely on South Sudan. This leads to the strategic error. Physical infrastructure in fragile states cannot survive on concrete alone. It requires durable, multi-generational social legitimacy. A project that incites regional conflict is unviable, regardless of its hydrological efficiency. Colonial-style megaprojects are structurally doomed because they treat local populations as geographic obstacles to be managed, rather than primary stakeholders to be served. To the Dinka, Nuer, Murle, and Anuak communities of Greater Jonglei, the seasonal floodplain, the Twic, is the material and spiritual infrastructure of their civilization. It governs their cattle migration patterns, their dry season fishing economy, and the spatial arrangement of their traditional settlements. Digging a massive trench through this system meant permanent disruption. Lowering the water table meant drying out the grazing lands that sustained the cattle herds. It meant collapsing the fish populations that provided critical protein during the dry season. This image captures the sheer physical scale of the excavation. Dragging a massive mechanical trench 360 kilometers across a functioning ecosystem severs ancient migration routes. It is an act of geographic amputation. The communities understood the threat immediately. In 1974, organized, non-violent public protests erupted in Juba. citizens and local assemblymen opposed the canal through formal civic channels. The central administration responded with live fire, shooting 2 students, closing schools across the south, and forcing dissenting politicians into exile. When every nonviolent avenue for community opposition is criminalized and shut down, resistance changes form. In 1983 and 1984, the Sudan People's Liberation Army attacked the site and ordered the bucket wheel excavator shut down. This act of wartime sabotage was the logical endpoint of a system that outlawed public dissent. South Sudan achieved independence as a sovereign state in 2011. That single geopolitical event legally nullifies the 1959 treaty's jurisdiction over the Sudd. The question is no longer whether to finish an old colonial ditch. The question is how to build a completely new water architecture. The communities of Jonglei State, particularly Twic East, Duke, and Bor counties, face a real and urgent hydrological crisis, devastating seasonal flooding. This flooding displaces hundreds of thousands of people annually and disrupts local agriculture. They need infrastructure designed for their survival. This matrix compares the old logic with the new. We are moving from the 1978 extraction trench to a multi-purpose resilience platform. The central objectives are now internal flood resilience, dry season irrigation, and local food security. The community transitions to the primary stakeholder. This multi-purpose approach is standard practice globally. In the Netherlands, the Room for the River program manages catastrophic flooding not by forcing water into narrow, fast channels, but by relocating dikes inland and lowering floodplains to give the water space to expand safely. California's State Water Project utilizes a 705-mile multi-purpose system that serves 27 million people and irrigates 750,000 acres of farmland, while simultaneously managing flood control and supporting necessary ecological flows. In China, the South to North Water Diversion Project has transferred tens of billions of cubic meters of water across the country, proving the immense scale at which modern states engineer transboundary water conveyance as a matter of strict national security. Successful modern water infrastructure is governed as a flexible public utility. It works with seasonal rhythms, storing water for dry seasons rather than racing it through an extraction pipeline to another country. Policy analyst Gabriel B. Ajak proposes a strict blueprint, the 5 pillars of a South Sudan first water architecture. Pillar 1 requires protecting the Sudd's ecology. Environmental flows and fisheries access must be legally enforceable engineering inputs, not compensatory afterthoughts. Pillar 2 establishes absolute sovereignty. Any new project must be governed exclusively as a national development platform for South Sudan, not as a transit corridor for foreign water policy. Pillar 3 mandates free, prior, and informed consent. This grants indigenous communities co-design rights and a documented right of refusal before any ground is broken. Pillar 4 enforces equitable benefit sharing. A legally binding, audited percentage of agricultural output, infrastructure employment, and economic returns must be reserved directly for Jonglei State. Pillar 5 demands staged, science-led development. A full, independent, peer-reviewed environmental impact assessment must be completed and made publicly available prior to any construction authorization. These 5 pillars are not aspirational guidelines, they are strict operational preconditions. Omitting them risks a repeat of the 1980s collapse. The failure of the Jonglei Canal offers a template for examining our own industries. We often see sweeping technological disruptions, like AI integration, imposed on a workforce without their informed consent, all under the banner of inevitable progress. We have to ask ourselves where the hidden wetlands are in our own business models. Where are the complex, organic value centers that leadership is trying to drain in the name of raw efficiency? Extracting a resource without sustaining its source always leaves a rusted machine in the dirt. For the decision makers evaluating the Upper Nile, here is the definitive policy stress test. 1. Can independent science prove the project preserves the Sudd's $3.3 billion ecological value? 2. Does the legal framework enforce audited benefit sharing for the local counties? 3. Have the affected communities granted documented, revocable, free, prior, and informed consent? If the answer to any of those 3 threshold questions is no, or even not yet, the project is not ready to proceed. This video is for educational purposes and is designed to spark rigorous analysis of policy and infrastructure. If you found this breakdown valuable, hit the subscribe button to support the channel and drop your thoughts or counter-arguments in the comments or via the email address listed in the description. Transitioning from an extraction trench mentality to a multi-purpose resilience platform creates the social and ecological legitimacy required for these projects to last. As always, learn and invest.